So we might as well just, So what is writer's block? What is writer's block for you? What does that look like?
For me, writer's block is different, right? Because for me, writing poetry and writing books is two totally different things. But I don't necessarily believe in writer's block as more than I mean. What am I trying to say? I don't believe in writer's block per se. I do believe sometimes you might be writing and you might not have nothing to say. But a lot of times you don't have nothing to say because you haven't worked the muscle yet, right? For me, when I can sit down and write a poem right now. It probably won't be the best poem, but I've worked that muscle of writing poetry where I can write something. And so I think a lot of times people say I have writer's block because they can't write something that they feel like it's great. Mm. Right? But if you can't write at all, it's probably because you haven't worked that muscle. Writing is a muscle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so like, I don't even know if that makes sense. And so I think when I first started writing my book, I was like, yo, I can't write like I write a poem, right? And that's because I haven't worked that muscle as a book writer yet. Mm-hmm. But now I'm getting better and better and better at it. And so this writing block kind of doesn't exist per se. And so I think it's the difference between not being able to write something good and not being able to write at all.
Yeah, so distinguishing between like sometimes it's not your inability to put something on the page. It's simply, I lost my train of thought. What you say?
Yeah, I think it's the difference between not being able to write at all and not being able to write something good.
Yeah. It's a difference between not being able to put something on the page and putting something on the page, but it's not perfect enough for you.
Absolutely.
So really the issue isn't writer's block, it's perfectionism.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
I think that's what most people think when they say I have writer's block. It's like, no, it's like you just haven't worked that muscle. It's like when you go to the gym, your muscles give out not because you have weightlifting block. It's just that muscle isn't strong yet.
Right.
And so, I think that it's a muscle that we have to develop.
Yeah, I've kind of seen that there are different things at play in so-called writer's block. I think perfectionism is definitely one. I think another category is also ignorance. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that when I'm working on a sermon or when I was writing my books, is that when I would get to a point where I had nothing else to say, sometimes it was because I didn't know enough yet to say it. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes what you're coming against, again, is not writer's block, is that you need to study more and learn more because you have more content. When you think about people who have PhDs, for example, a dissertation is like 50,000 words, max or minimum, I'm not sure. That's a lot of words on one very niche, defined subject, but they have those words because they've studied for 5, 6, 7 years for it.
Right.
And so I think if we apply that same kind of like diligence to our writing process, I think you'll see that you have more than enough to say once you get it in your brain.